Hello and welcome to the show. I am back today on automation, going to be again trying to build a different sort of vehicle to my normal stuff. I'm going to have a go at making an off-road truck. I've never built an off-road vehicle on this game, so I'm going to give it a go and see what we can do. Basically, as I said, I don't really know quite how well I'm going to do with this, but never mind. Shall we look at truck body? That's probably a good place to start. We're going to go for a relatively modern one this time. I have built around with a few kind of classic-y vehicles before, so we're going to go for a relatively modern. We could go for an absolutely giant pickup. This thing will be quite fun. I believe this is a Steam Workshop job, this one. Do we go for a giant pickup? Do we go for, I'm assuming this is a bit of a smaller, yeah, we go for a bit of a smaller pickup, or a kind of modern, this is sort of a more modern medium-sized pickup, I guess. I don't know what this one is. That one's back to being a small one, and that one is, okay, so we have kind of a modern large pickup truck, a smallish pickup truck. I was going for the sort of the medium-sized pickup there. We can go for the four-door version of that if we want. Actually, it doesn't make any difference to the length of the truck. It's just shortens the bed at the back. Or we go for this sort of older style. I think we're going to go for a modern one. I think if we're going for sort of modern internal engine bits and so on, we'll go with a modern pickup, and we will go with the. Shall we go with the medium? We'll go with the medium-sized pickup. This is kind of the sort of the thing you are more likely to see in England, basically. This sort of size of truck is very, very rare. In fact, I've seen a couple, but you don't really get them in England. So, seeing as I'm more used to seeing this style of pickup, not that these are massively common, this is what we are going to go for in this build. Now, we're probably going to want to extend the wheel arches, just so I have the option to have giant tyres on the thing, should I so choose. We can kind of mess around with the front a little bit. I'm probably going to want that as low as we can get it, sort of like so. Yeah, that'll do. That will work for me. Now, chassis type. I think from my previous bit of experimenting around, the ladder chassis type is best for off-roading. I certainly is more so than monocoque. I can't remember how it's spoke. We're going to go with a ladder chassis anyway to start with. We may come back because these kind of things don't tell you, what is better for off-roading. Some bits do, some bits don't. So some guesswork is going to go into all of this. We're going to have a front longitudinal engine. We are going, now these bits here do show which are better for off-road. So we're going to go with McPherson struts at the front, and we are going to have solid axle coil at the back. It's the best option for off-roading. The solid axle leaf, is not bad for off-roading. The rest of these, though, are no good, pretty much. So we're going for the solid axle coil. Panel material, do we go for some partial? Let's partial aluminium. Try and keep weight down. Probably be a good thing. Try and keep weight down to a minimum. Again, we're going for a relatively modern-ish truck, so we'll keep the weight down on this one as best as we can, despite the archaic chassis. I will come and have a fiddle around with that if, or when we get to the end where we see all the scores and so on. Right, front of the vehicle. I am thinking, we've got plenty to work with, really, with this truck. I'm thinking if we go for, like, a, do we want that style grille, or do we want sort of this style? Do we want to go for kind of angry front, or kind of angry front of truck? I actually quite like that for the front of a truck there. So if we have this sort of bit up here, now I am kind of going for the chromey bits. Not that I'm a massive fan of chrome, but actually I wonder what that one there would. Can we have that one that game? Oh wait, hold on. I'll tick on that one there. Okay, so I want to kind of see what that one looks like, because I would ideally build mine in such a way that I would have, rather than kind of having the sort of the chromey outline, I would have that as a a different colour outline, just to have a little bit more interest going on. It should make the vehicle that little bit more interesting. But yeah, I can't do that. I don't know if there are. I can't say I've seen any on the Steam Workshop that have sort of, you know, optional colours for the surrounds of grills. If there are, people please do let me know on that sort of stuff. But yeah, I can't say that I have seen any. All right, we are looking for. I kind of want. I kind of want that one there, but I was going to try and keep with the... Seeing as I started with a chrome theme, I was going to try and keep with it. So what I was going to do is we were going to have another sort of grill bit down here. Oh, no, you stay about there. That was fine. Yes, I'm happy with that there. I was going to make this one perhaps slightly bigger down here, and then we will have corner bits, but I was looking for a rectangular one, ideally. What about you? Aha! There we go. That's more like it. Right, oh wait, hold on. We don't want to double grill the thing up. That's not quite the plan. There, okay. Do we have that? I'm not sold on that one particularly. Actually, now go away. No, I think I preferred. Now I've gone and bloody done it. I think I actually preferred this sort of circular one here. That'll do. There, and then we'll make that a little larger, and then we're going to have the little vents in the corners again, just for. Yeah, just make it a little bit more interesting. I'm not that good when it comes to... I'm trying my best with this sort of thing, but I'm just not particularly amazing with this sort of designy stuff. I'm much better when it comes to the driving of the cars. Okay, I can do that bit. I always tend to make look silly looking vehicles. They tend to be relatively effective, but they tend not to look fantastic. If we make that a little bit larger, I'm trying to match everything up size-wise. Okay, I'm not disliking the front of this so far. It's not as hideous as my Land Rover Cyclone rival, which is good. Now I've got them in, shall we go for headlights? See, I'm thinking because we've got quite a nice... I say quite a nice. We've got a relatively sort of curved front bumper, or front area going on here. If we were to have sort of these in there, that doesn't look completely hideous. Not compared to my normal vehicles, at least. Oh, actually, relatively. I mean, it's not the most exciting, but it is, you know, after all, going to be an off-road pickup truck kind of thing. I'm actually relatively pleased with that one. I wonder if... Does that allow me to... Oh, it does. It's got, like, the little space for the badge. The badge has not quite worked in there as I had hoped it would. Oh, that's disappointing. Kind of-ish. It's half a badge. Kind of works in that little gap. Just imagine, basically. Right, tail lights. What do we go to the back? I'm never really sure what to do at the back of these. What should we have? I have been using. I've quite liked these ones in the past for just sort of tail lights on the back. I still kind of want the stacks going up the side, possibly, but that'll do for now, I think. Yeah, we don't really need any. Again, it doesn't need to be massively fancy here at the back. We could go for an almighty wing. Can we actually put an almighty wing on the pickup truck? No, I can put an almighty wing in the bed itself. I seem to remember having that problem with the... Oh, will I put it on the... Oh, yes. That is how we do downforce. That is most definitely how you downforce. I seem to remember a similar thing went on with the Land Rover mess that I made before, so... Okay. Oh, door handles. Yeah, we'll go with some door handles. That does tend to be helpful. We'll go with the little indicatory bits as well. They can go on the side here. Sure, and then we will get the exhausts. Yeah, that'll work. We actually got, for once, plenty of space to mess around and put them on the back of it. Okay. Do we need anything else really doing to the vehicle? I'm actually relatively pleased with the look of it. From the front, from the back, it's just pick up. Could probably do slightly bigger lights, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make them look not awful, basically. We should make them a little... Ooh, come on now, game. If we just make them a little larger and then put them, perhaps that'll look slightly better proportioned-wise, I think, is what we're going for there. Yeah, that'll do, and we'll put a proper badge on the back. None of this cut-in-half nonsense that we have on the front one. There we go. Right, that is going to be the look of our off-road pickup. Of course, it must be painted in orange, as all FailRace vehicles are, and we will have a longitudinal 4x4. Again, the off-road is extremely high, which is what we are wanting. Now, to the engine. we're going to have to go with a V8, I think, is the best way to go. I reckon we'll go for a relatively powerful. Now, I am going to try in this build. I'm going to go for, you know, relatively decent bits and pieces, but we won't go for quite the extreme parts, so such as the magnesium engine and whatnot. Well, I haven't got a particular price in mind. We'll try and keep it vaguely affordable. Engine-wise, we are going to be wanting a decent amount of torque, and I think if we have so lower stroke gives us better RPM. I think if we have a slightly longer stroke, that gives us better torque, potentially. We will see how that goes. Shall we go for a 6-litre V8? I think that is about the way to go. We've got plenty of space in the engine bay to do this, so yeah, that works for me. We want, shall we go for dual overhead cam? We might as well go for some decent stuff. You know, after all, it is going to hopefully be a good vehicle. While yes, I am focusing, of course, on the off-roading ability, we're still going to want plenty of power inside of this. It's going to hopefully help with if in doubt, just throw power at it. We'll not go for CNC shop stuff, but we will go for Forge Works bits and pieces. So we won't quite have I-beam titanium. We will have to go for do we go I-beam steel or forged? Now I'm thinking we go I-beam steel, because otherwise we're going to have RPM limits being hit, and I've never seen torque limit being hit by parts, but I've seen RPM limit hit lots of times, so I think we're going to go for the bits and pieces in here that, in fact, actually, we might go forged, lightweight forged. No, forged will be better. We will go with that. There, it's just trying to make so that I am able to get as much out of this engine as I possibly can. We will come back to adjust all of this stuff later. But we might as well do the style of the bits and pieces while we are here. Let's put it in a slightly more interesting colour, of course. Has to be an orange, or apparently not when I cycle through. I think we'll stick with that one, to be honest. That'll work for me. Continue. Naturally aspirated. We're not going to go for big turbos on this one. After all, you're not going to be wanting turbo lag and so on if you're trying to be going off-roading. So we're going to stick with naturally aspirated. We will go with direct injection though, and we will want throttle per cylinder. We'll give it a performance intake, sure. It's very hard when I see options of performance and race. It's very hard for me not to just go race on everything, because you have seen many a time with me building stuff on here, I just naturally, instinctively go towards performance. We will go with kind of a mid-level exhaust. Again, you know, we're going to be getting decent power out of all of this. Well, hopefully decent power out of all of this, but we don't have to go quite too crazy. It's not going to be a full-on racing engine here. Sure, we'll go with, yeah, again, you know, keeping the airflow going through stuff. Oh God, I just realised how expensive doing that is, but yeah, we'll have it as like a performance off-roader, sure. Let's just skip through that. What are we sitting at the moment? 400 horsepower, nearly 400 torque as well. That's okay. It's okay. Nothing's glowing and flashing at me either, which is relatively good. Oh, the bloody phone. Go away, phone. I don't care. I'm building an off-road. I do apologise. No matter what I do, it's always, like, I can spend an entire day and no one is ever going to ring here, but as soon as I start recording, that is when the phone goes, and sure enough, it's just another duff phone call with nothing interesting. Bloody typical. Where's my RPM limit? What can I go to? No, it's about 5. Let's leave about 5,900. That is probably going to be enough, really, for this. Let's face it. We are still running a little bit rich. We will have a faff around. Ooh, we can get 500 horsepower going on here at the moment. 470 torque. The torque is probably going to be more important here than anything else. Let's face it. In fact, if we lower that down a little bit, that is good in terms of. Ooh. Can't say I've ever had that actually as a problem. The exhaust is causing issues, so perhaps we will have to actually go for the long tubular exhausts. Yeah, I didn't notice that was 477 horsepower. I thought when I put that to dual that wouldn't be a problem, but apparently it is a little bit. So that can go to there. We might as well make this as small as we can get away with it, so it's not restricting. There we go. 554 horsepower, 500 torque. relatively smooth torque curve, relatively smooth power curve as well. It's not my crazy turbo lag nonsense that we've had in previous vehicles. We can get a little bit more, but not a huge amount. 506. I don't think we can really push that any more than we were. The fuel economy is going to be shocking, but I do quite like having a nice big powerful vehicle. So bugger it. For now, that will do. If we go start that up, okay, go test mode and then we'll start it up. Okay, so this is our little engine working away. I mean, it is relatively. I'm just looking at the little power and torque dial that it's got going on. It's relatively smooth. Sounds quite good. Play around with our little sliders in here. Okay, I'm quite liking this engine. A solid, naturally aspirated V8. I think this one. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, gearbox. Now we're going to go for a manual gearbox. Naturally, we can't have a low-range gearbox. You can't have an option to have like a separate low-range gearbox for sort of off-roading and so on, which is perhaps a little bit of a shame if you are trying to build a proper off-road vehicle, such as I'm kind of going for here. It reckons it'll do a top speed of 148 miles an hour. Now I'm guessing for off-roading we kind of don't want to go too silly with the gear ratios. I guess we want to have relatively short gear ratios because or be able to have plenty of power low down and so on, because of, you know, off-roading not going to be going quickly at all. So if I stick it like with this for now, we'll go and see when we come further down the line. Differentials, we'll go with a manual locker on. We'll go for an electronic LSD, but that is the material cost of that I think is more than my engine. So I'm thinking we're going to go with the manual locker. Just how much is the engine actually? So the electronic LSD was almost 3,000 material cost, and my engine was, where is our information gone for the engine? Material cost 2,000. So yeah, the electronic LSD is more than my engine. So we will be sticking with the manual locker in that one. Chunky off-road tyres are ideal for the semi-slicks, and try off-road with semi-slicks. Probably not going to end too well. The wheels look tiny. Let's give it some bigger tyres. And perhaps slightly bigger wheels. In there, we will stick with steel wheels, better for off-roading. Actually, kind of works okay on these standard. The wheels still do look really, really piddly in this, but it's gonna have to. It's gonna have to do. Not much I can do. Do we want? I can't actually move it anyway. No, okay, that looks all right actually. I think it's just the camera angle was confusing me. Okay, brakes. We're probably gonna want some decent sized brakes. This is not a small vehicle, so we're going to want some nice big brakes at the front. We're going for vented discs at the front, solid discs at the rear, trying to keep costs down a little bit, but we will go for some decent sized brakes here. After all, we're going to want to be getting this thing slowed down. Under tray, there is an off-road skid tray. Naturally, that seems to be the one to go for me. We've not got front and rear downforce to worry about. I don't know if we do actually, now that we've added that there, so that we can play with, or whether it actually just doesn't make any difference. I would imagine it wouldn't, so it's going to stay like that for now. Right, cooling airflow. We might as well put this down as much as we can to save on drag. So it requires 332. So if we give it, let's say, 400, and then that means we can stick this up here quite high to keep the brakes nice and cool. So that will give us 335 going to the engine, which it needs 332, and 77 going to the brakes. Should keep them nice and cool as well. Right, seats. Oh, we might as well go for 3 up here. We may go for a little bit more luxurious inside here. I guess sort of premium might be a little heavier than the basic stuff, but yeah, sure. We'll go with a little bit of premium quality inside. We'll give it power steering, anti-lock brakes, traction control. Not sure I'll bother with electronic stability and launch. We don't really need launch control. Let's be honest, we don't really need launch control in this. We'll go for standard modern safety stuff. Springs, we will go with whichever is the best off-road, which would be active comfort. I I was going to say relatively expensive, but of the options for off-roading, it is the best one, so we will go with that. Dampers doesn't have an off-roading statistic, so shall we go with semi-active, seeing we've already got part active? Might as well, bugger it. Passive sway bars, I guess, are better than not putting them. I think we have to actually put them on anyway, so bugger it, that can do there. We will set the thing up to go off-road. And then, there we go. We have got our overall statistics. Total cost just over, well, just over $10,000 or $10,500, sorry. Practicality, 54. Utility, 66.9. Off-road, 64.7. Very, very reliable as well. 75, look at that. As ever, my vehicle's reliability is their strongest statistic. Miles a gallon is 8.7, but that's what happens when you put, well, when you give me an engine to build. Power kind of comes first, basically, with this one. Now, if we go, is it under design? No, design just tells us all of the various bits and pieces, various information about the vehicle. Detailed stats, that's what we were looking for. Right, so we've got drivability. Footprint, I guess, is sort of size of vehicle, perhaps. You know, the drivability is always going to be slightly down because we'll have built it to go off-road. It's this statistic that is the one that is the most important of all of them. Well, yeah, off-roading ability. So drivetrain, good. Suspension, I guess, is relatively good. So tyre profile is bad. Ride height is also slightly bad. Can we raise that up any? So if we go back into somewhere in here, right, ride height. So if we stick this up as high as it can go, that should give us, okay, so yeah, so that has increased our off-roading stat ever so slightly. What have we got in terms of here? So if we make this, do these help us with, doesn't seem to be helping us massively with off-roading as such. I know this does give you a lot of potential to fiddle around and fine-tune these till your heart's content if that is something that you want to be doing. I love how this is telling me that it's more of a muscle car than anything. I'm not quite sure that's right, but there we go. Gears was another thing it said that it didn't particularly like. Gear spacing was wrong, so do we want longer? I would have thought, apparently that is what we do. So maybe we have longer gear ratios in general. Okay, so that's bad. That's screwed me up completely with the off-roading. Okay, 65.5. Did we get it higher? 65.9 even down there. 66. Look at all of this. Okay, we're gonna have really. Okay, so that is how we do it apparently when it comes to off-roading. So we want, yeah, very, very, very short gear ratios is good news for off-roading. Now, this is bad news in terms of my speed, sort of straight line speed-wise, but good for off-roading. This does kind of pain me to have to do this. We're restricted to 76 miles an hour. Apparently, it's amazing off-road. No, we'll have to give it sort of 80, I think, to be sensible. It does pain me to do that when I'm pretty sure that this truck will do about 140. Oh, wow, it will actually do. Okay, maybe not quite 197. It might be a little too much. This will be a 150 mile an hour truck with longer gear ratios. However, it's not the purpose of this one. Let's go 87. Sure. Okay, so we're at 67 off-road now, which is something. Let's jump back over here again to see what we can. Detailed statistics. What can we fiddle about with? So gear spacing is now plus rather than a minus. That's good. Width, I can't change anything. Overhang, I can't change anything either because that's just the size of the vehicle. I guess I could have made the body maybe slightly smaller at the back, but can't do anything about that. Environmental resistance is a plus. Ride height is a minus, but it's better than it was, I think. Tyre profile, that is something that we can look at. I'm not sure what way you want me to go, but let's have a play around. Okay, so smaller wheels are good. We're going to go for 10-inch. Now this is starting to get silly, game. Okay, small. I'm slightly confused. Sure, I don't know much about off-roading. I'll be honest here, but I'm thinking this is going to be looking pretty silly now that we've got. Okay, Carl, what do you look like? Do I even want to know? Apparently this is good for off-road. Apparently this is good for off-roading. It looks bloody ridiculous. But that has like massively improved my off-road statistics out here. Tyres have blown. Yeah, I'm not really surprised that the tyres have blown from that. Okay, we can't quite get that silly. Can't quite get that ridiculous. We are probably going to have to go for sort of this size. This size of tyre, just to keep the damn thing going. Let's face it. Sportiness has taken an absolute pounding in all of this. Because, yeah, we have gone, I guess, quite backwards in some respects. Sorry, back to detail stats. Off-road, so now tyre profile is a plus. That's good. Suspension quality good. Under tray good. Gear ratios is, well, not losing anything. At least brake fade is okay. 71.3, I think, is pretty good off-roading. I think that is, yeah, not too bad. Markets. What's markets? Okay, so I guess this is where the car would sell strongly, and off-road premium, and heavy utility are now its strong points. So basically, if I fiddle around with the gearbox, I can go from being a muscle car to being an off-road vehicle. Somehow, competitive 99.8. Affordability 75%, affordability 93% in the premium market. Yeah, okay. That will be my my vehicle. Standing kilometre is apparently not available. So in off-road spec, this is kind of what I want. Why I want crawler gears. So you can have the crawler gears for the off-roading bit, and then have a sensible gear ratio for when it comes to, you know, like this bit here, tackling a track. What I am going to do, so we're going to say that was the thing with the maximum sort of off-road spec that I could obtain with it. We are going to now put the gear ratios back up to what would be a more sensible level for my for a car of mine, essentially. We'll go with 150 miles an hour. I think the spacing was okay, at 9.5 miles a gallon. Sure. Okay, so yeah, slightly tuned down the off-roading thing because of the gear ratios were ridiculous, basically. Airfield track, let us begin. Let us get it set off and underway. It reckons it'll do 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. Not the greatest 0 to 60. But bear in mind, this is still a massively heavy vehicle, and I've also messed about with the tyres, so it's got piddly tyres. So while that's off doing it, we can stop that somewhere under the background noise. The lap time 139.3. It is not amazingly quick. It is not amazingly quick. Let's have a look. I've got the Top Gear lap times up on my phone, as I often tend to do with this. The lap time, a 39.3, is pretty much identical to the Bowler Wildcat, a 39.4 from the Bowler. So we've kind of built a Bowler Wildcat rival-ish in some ways. Got a little bit silly with the tyres and wheels and, and so on, but yeah. Actually, this might be one of my favourite builds I think I've done on this. It actually looks kind of okay. It doesn't look god-awful. The engine is plenty powerful enough. I kind of achieved really what I wanted to in terms of building a, you know, off-road utility pickup. As I said, I would quite like to have an option to have a separate low-range gearbox, because, yeah, kind of messing about with the gears gets a little bit ridiculous, but this will do. Where is the detailed stats? Overview. Design? Maybe design? Will it tell me the top speed? Maybe I'll have to go back to test track that again to see. Yeah, we'll have to go back to test track. Yeah, it'll top 150 miles an hour with the long gear ratios, which for nearly a 2-ton pickup truck is not too bad. Not too bad going in all of that. Well, there we go. I had a go. I think I was relatively successful in building an off-road truck. Yeah, quite good fun. It's quite good fun trying to build stuff for the different markets, the different aspects of the game. It's still hard for me not to go down the performance line. That's just me. However, it is a relatively successful build, I think. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.